speaking with singer R.G. Stewart, and R.G., you're in a Rod Stewart tribute band based out of Orange County. I believe your band's called Atlantic Crossing. Is that correct?
This is Atlantic Crossing, the ultimate Rod Stewart tribute.
Okay, now I guess the best place to start off is if you could share with us how you first got into the music of Rod Stewart.
Yeah, we cover everything from his early days with Jeff Beck to the Faces, including his 80s.
Yeah. Okay. And now, like, did you start impersonating Rod, kind of, because you had people, tell you look so much like him and you sounded like him, or is it just something you always wanted to do?
Yeah, no, it was actually a fluke. It started ways back when I was going to Japan on a regular business trip every month for a few years, and during one of those karaoke nights with my clients, I decided to, as a joke, what's her name?
Maggie May?
No, not Maggie May. No. Female singer.
Oh, okay.
God, my mind just went blank. Piece of My Heart, Janis Joplin.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I wanted to do a Janis Joplin song, and what came out was something that sounded like Rod Stewart, and I said, yeah, I think I could do Rod Stewart, and didn't do anything about it. It sat on the shelf until a few years ago. Went out, Halloween night out.
Wow.
And first place we went to with my little group of friends and my wife, we stopped at a place and they had something going on, and I guess had one or two many beers, went up on stage and did a song, and the audience asked me to stay up and do another one and another one, and when I got off the stage, the owner of the club gave me a gig, and I said, I don't have a band, and he says, well, I'll give you, a residency, you can play here once a week, and I was there for 6 months. I had to go put something together, and that's how the whole thing started.
And this was in Japan now, you said?
Oh, no. The first time I realized I could do Rod.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, that was in Japan.
So let me ask you, back in Japan when this all got started, what kind of business were you in at the time, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh, no, not at all. I was selling American goods, mostly collectibles, like 50s Americana.
Oh, okay.
Stores all over Japan.
Oh, cool. And the reason I asked that is I was kind of curious, besides the kind of accidentally doing the Rod Stewart thing, is if you ever did much performing or singing on the side, or is that also something you kind of just fell into?
Right.
Wow.
It was something, when I was a kid, I wasn't in a high school band or anything like that. All my friends were, and I was the kid that was booking the shows. I would business end of it. It was fun. It was easy. It was, but as far as performing, it wasn't something that I ever thought I would do, nor did I really have a desire to do, so this just came as it was at the right time in my life where I thought this would be fun, and more to the point, it was a challenge. Before I got into it, I decided to check out the competition. I wasn't going to do it unless I felt it'd be at a certain level. I wanted to be, honestly, within the top 3 or 4 the people doing it. Otherwise, I didn't want to do it. I didn't need to do it. Have to do it. So it was more of, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it well. And I have too much respect for Rod to embarrass him. So that's how I got into it.
I gotta tell you, RG, that's totally amazing. I mean, of all these guys I've interviewed in tribute bands, most of these guys start out at standard musicians playing in doing original music, and so it's totally amazing that you've reached this level, that you really have no previous musical background. And so, on that level, I'd like to ask you, like the first time you hit the stage in Japan, I guess, doing Rod Stewart, what was that feeling, that rush you get, I guess, when you hit the stage and you hear the audience, cheering for you? That must have been a pretty great feeling.
It's pretty surreal. I mean, like I would never try to get sober,
Yeah.
to be honest with you, because I would have been too intimidated. But when you realize they're not throwing any bottles, they're not laughing, they're actually, digging it, the conscience kicks in and it gives you that, that little extra something to, give them the best you can do. And I'm really, really lucky to be, portraying an artist that's really well liked. And for me, it's, it doesn't get boring because the type of music Rod has done over 5 decades has covered everything from, R&B to soul to rock and roll. I mean, even, jazz and the standards. So it's a little of everything. I mean, a lot of kids below a certain age only know Rod from his 80s hits.
Yeah.
What they got to do is everybody should go back and pick up, the album Truth, with Jeff Beck. The most amazing singing. I mean, matter of fact, that album Truth came out a good 8 months before Zeppelin's, first album came out. And that, if you hear it, you'll realize that was the template for Zeppelin.
Wow.
Jimmy Page was just coming off of the Yardbirds, and he had a sound in his head. He was looking for a certain type of singer, but that certain type of singer was, someone that sounded Rod Stewart-like, because Jeff Beck had already, teamed up with Stewart, with Rod, and Page was, was trying to basically imitate that. You can take up the album Truth, and you'll go, oh my gosh, it sounds, so Zeppelin-like. From Jeff Beck's playing to Stewart singing, it sounded very Plant-like, in future albums. Anyway, it's a great album.
Yeah.
Great singing, great songs on it.
Yeah, and the great thing about doing Rod Stewart, like you said, is, there's a little bit of something for everybody, and, the thing I always loved about Rod Stewart is, besides being a great singer and performer, he's a great writer. I mean, if you listen to, like you said, especially any of his classic stuff from the 70s, he's a great storyteller. I mean, and even some of, everybody's heard, of course, Maggie May and that stuff, and Gasoline Alley, but even if you listen to like some of the deeper, less known songs like The Killing of Georgie or I Was Only Joking, those are great tunes, and I think that's the great thing about what you do is you can people that aren't as aware of some of those lesser known songs, you can make people aware, hey, this is, Rod Stewart did this as well,
I agree. I mean, like, a lot of artists are, and God bless them, but they're, misogynists. And Rod, the reason why he's so well liked, especially with his women days, and is that the songs either he wrote or the songs he chose to cover really put women on a pedestal.
Yeah.
And so it set him apart really from a lot of the rock artists of the day.
Yeah.
Far removed from, anybody from Jagger to possibly even, anyway, it's like it set him apart. And in fact, that was when I was a young kid of 13, that's how I actually was introduced to him, was that like I remember, he heard 98. It didn't really do a whole lot for me. I was 13 years old. It was like, it was cool. But I remember hearing Twisting the Night Away, and I was just floored by it because I had been familiar with the Sam Cooke version. And I love Sam Cooke. I love his voice. And yet, when I heard Rod doing Twisting the Night Away, it was how do I put this?
I hear what you say. He's covering.
The urgency of its emotive delivery on that song was just something I had not heard, and it was just, and then he was also like one of the first artists I'd seen since the Beatles that looked like he was having fun with the audience. He was like one of them. He wasn't like, look at me, I'm up here on stage and I'm singing down to, he was part of the party, and that's what I connected with as a teenager.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, RG, because I mean, I myself, nothing against Pearl Jam or bands like that, but I'd much rather go see somebody like, Rod Stewart for the simple fact that you're saying is, I don't want to go. I don't want to go and be brought down and hear about how awful the world is. I'd rather go hear about all the fun we're going to have and how great the world is. That's the kind of the type of music I'm into.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You want to go. I mean, and that's really what every entertainer should be about. It should be about. Well, there you go. Back to that. Rod isn't just a great singer, but he's an amazing entertainer, and that's what every entertainer's goal should be. Is that whether they're singing for 45 minutes or 3 hours, they should make you, take you out of whatever troubles, down mood you might be in, and lift you up, spiritually or physically, mentally, everything. They should put you in and you leave that place for at least a few hours afterwards, hopefully, for a few days afterwards. You're on a high. You're thinking, man, that was great. I had such a good time. Even if you can't, explain what it was that worked for you, you just connect. And I think Rod does that. And he's always done that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, an interesting story that you can check out for yourself, RG, when we, when you have time to go on the internet later tonight is, I had a chance to interview Carmine Appice, which of course he previously played with, Rod Stewart, and he's currently putting together this tribute project. He's calling it the Rod Experience. It's him and Jimmy Crespo and Phil Chin, all guys that played in Rod's band, and they got this tribute guy who's doing the singing, and he said we're just gonna play the stuff that I played on from I think said like 78 to 81 or 82, and so even the guys that played with him are going back and revisiting this stuff. I mean, that tells you how great the material is.
Right. Actually, speaking of Phil Chen, he has played with us 5 times now, and so we got Phil Chen on whenever we need him, and he's an amazing guy. He's so much fun to watch play. I mean, in fact, we were doing one show where I was for a good 30-40 seconds. I was part of the audience. I was frozen. I was watching him move. The man is 68 years old, and he's got the energy of a 30-year-old. And just his moves, his energy, the way he commands the stage. And I remember just watching him, and then realizing there's 1,500 people in the audience watching us, and I wasn't moving for a good half a minute because I was part of the audience, just fixated on what he was doing. But he's a great guy, really down to earth, and hopefully they'll get that off the ground. They did 2 shows in New York, but as far as I heard, that nothing else beyond that. At least that's what Phil was telling me.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess it's something we're still working on. But in any event, now how did that opportunity come up as far as Phil playing with you? Did he come up for a couple of songs? Did he fill in for your bass player? Did you reach out to him, or did he just pop up at one of your shows?
He plays with friends of ours, Strange Days, the Doors tribute band.
Oh, okay. Wow.
And they're really good friends, and they mentioned that he was going to play with them for the second time, and they knew that Phil's connection with Rod, and they thought it would be advantageous for us to meet, and we did. We hit it off, and the rest is history, as they say. So we utilized him in a couple of big shows and a few small shows, but he's always fun to play with, and I'm really thankful that Jason and Robert from Strange Days introduced me to him.
Yeah, let me ask you, RG, because in doing research for some of these interviews I've done, to me, I see that you're pretty much a premier Rod Stewart tribute out here in L.A. Orange County. Are you surprised there aren't more guys doing Rod Stewart?
Not to mention names, there's maybe one more that's noteworthy, but I think he's scaled down. He's retiring.
Okay.
From what I'm hearing, and then there's maybe a handful scattered across the United States. The problem with Rod is, it's several-fold. I mean, you have to somewhat look like him, but more importantly, it's that voice. For me, as for the fan,
Yeah.
Not even speaking for what I do, but when I go to see a tribute band, to be totally honest with you, I'm less concerned about the way they look, and more about the way they sound. I want to be able to close my eyes and say, that person or that band, sounds just like the real thing live. And so, as far as the other, my competition, I feel that some of them are, really good singers in their own right.
Yeah.
But I think the problem why there isn't more Rod Stewart,
tributes
or acts out there is that most of the time these singers overdo the Rod voice, and then it doesn't sound as Rod-like or as authentic as they lose the subtleties and the vocal play and the accents and the inflections, I should say, in singing. And so it's not about his voice being hoarse all the time, because it's not. He uses his rasp as accent.
Yeah. An interesting thing on that, our mutual friend Kenny Metcalf, who does Elton John, he was telling me to when he first got into doing Elton, he said, he said I went to the length of trying to sound British and getting the accent down and just so I could get the right sound. Have you found that you had to do that as well?
I would like to do that. It would be great to speak like Rod.
Yeah.
For whatever freak reason, I can sound like him when I sing. But I'm not, haven't gotten there, vocally yet. I mean, in my speaking voice.
Yeah.
I don't want to affect the voice that isn't. I don't want my speaking voice to be subpar to what my singing voice is abroad. And until I do that, I'm not even going to try.
I hear you.
And I just won't. But he brought up an interesting point that this whole tribute scene is, in my opinion, once all things being equal in regards to musical talent, what really comes into play here is really, I think, in my opinion, theater.
Yeah.
The artist has to convey one way or another, and it's a little of this, a whole lot of that, and a little of this, that they are, that artist, at least for the moment on stage. Unlike, just regular, a regular cover band situation or original music, theater comes into play in a big way.
Yeah, I mean that's to me it's like you're saying, it's entertainment, Las Vegas, rock and roll theater. That's the best way to put it, and that's why I'm kind of surprised you were telling me a little bit ago that you're more into getting the sound down than the look. And I'm kind of surprised to hear you say it, because when I look at the photos you have up on your Facebook page, I gotta say you look the part. If I didn't know any better, I think you were Rod Stewart back in the '80s, and I think that's part of the reason a guy like yourself has had this level of success. I mean, number one, it's amazing to learn, but you accidentally fell into this. You're not even a musician or have any previous music experience, and then to find out that you just kind of fell into this accidentally. I think it really makes it a great story. And I do think let's be honest. There's like countless AC/DC, Led Zeppelin tributes, thousands all around the world. But like you said, especially on this area, there's not too many other Rod Stewart tributes. And the fact that you look the part, you got the sound down, that's going to make you stand out. That's going to make people come to your shows and tell their friends about you. And I think that's why guys like you and Mick Adams and Kenny Metcalf, you guys stand out, because there's not in the area there's not like 15 other Rod Stewart tribute bands. So I think that's what you got working for you right now.
Well, yeah, thank you. And as far as the look, that's enhanced by the costumes. It's the other thing I have, like I won't call it a pet peeve, but it's something that's very important to me, is that I think that if you're going to do the tribute thing, the costumes should be as authentic as possible, meaning not on the cheap, so like with Rod, he dresses, in great clothes, so I mean, it should be, even if it's something he actually never specifically wore, it should be very Rod-like. It should be something that he would wear. There's a lot of outfits I have that are
Yeah.
He would wear those shoes. He would wear that shirt with that jacket. But it still should be cheap, or should not be cheap. It should look, quality. And the same with, regardless of the artist you're portraying, it should be, because that's just that little something extra that helps sell the character. Because when all is said and done, the whole tribute thing, in my opinion, is kind of like Disneyland for adults.
Yeah, yeah.
Like when you have like a little 3-year-old kid, you bring them to Disneyland, and they go up to Minnie or Mickey Mouse. They believe, at 3 years old, that Minnie and Mickey are real.
Yeah, but and
when you're 6 years old, you don't believe that Mickey and Minnie are real anymore. There's an adult person in that costume, but you want to believe. Well, that's where it's at with the tribute. We're not fooling anybody.
No.
But the adults want to believe. They want it, and that's what they're buying into. They're buying into that fantasy. And the better job you can do of selling it, the better they're gonna, feel from that experience. And that's what it's about. It's about, it's basically about that, and then that's what separates, I think, Kenny Metcalf, for example, from other Elton, tribute artists. Is that he puts in the time for the costume, he puts in the time for the sound, and that's the dedication. If you're going to do it, you got to really do it.
I mean, like he told me before he even did his first show, doing Elton John, he said, I looked at videos, I did my homework, I rehearsed and I got all the moves and the look and everything down. It took me 14 months before I even did the first show. And so that tells you, hard work and dedication, that that guy put into what he does. And I think what's great about what you guys do is, like you were saying, people, for people that think this is just, you going up on stage and, doing Rod Stewart because you can't hack it as a musician or whatever. I got to tell people, like you said, it's rock and roll theater. The great thing about that is I'll never forget the first time I seen this Guns N' Roses tribute. They're out of Hollywood, called Hollywood Rose, and the singer Colby Vale. First time I seen him, looks like Axl Rose, 1987, all over again. But the rest of the band, they look like Slash and Duff and all that. And it took me back to 1987 for a minute. I had to blink, and they were that good. They looked that good, and I almost swore I was at a Guns N' Roses actual show, and I thought for a minute, this is the closest I'm ever going to get to seeing Slash and Axl ever on stage again, and that's something magical. If you're that good, you can give your audience a magical night to remember, and you must get that at your shows. I mean, people come and, man, you really fooled me. You look like Rod Stewart, man. I'd swear I was at a Rod Stewart show. You must get that all the time yourself.
Well, yeah, of course, but I'm not. I'm grounded in knowing that, first of all, my job is easy in as much that they're already coming. The bar might be low when before they walk in, because they're not expecting it to sound like it does. Like, for example, unlike some other acts, I'm a stickler for making sure that the arrangement, as well as my singing, is all in original key. So we try to sound like the record. Because that's what you're going to remember in your head.
Yeah.
The record, the same song has been 10,000 times on the radio. That helps us there. And then, of course, the costume and everything else. But it's like the band you were talking about, the Guns N' Roses tribute band. They did their job. If they, for 5 seconds, convinced you that this could have, that they transported you back in time, then that's what it's all about, and that's the goal you're trying to strive for. Is that the audience, just for a brief moment, believes, wow, must be what it would be like to be back in 72, 87, 69. It doesn't matter what who we're talking about. If they can make you feel that, they've done their job.
And I guess the great thing for you as a performer is Rod Stewart, like you're saying, you could do shows of various types of bands, everything from an Elton John to the Rolling Stones, Queen, and even the Doors, like you were saying. So I think that's a great thing.
Case in point, Kenny, our good friend Kenny, with Mitch Thomas, the brilliant Mitch Thomas, is put together something like a legend show. It's called Rock Fantasy, and they invited me to be part of the July 11th, July 12th show. We're playing Mesquite, Nevada at the Casablanca Resort, and it'll be Elton and Rod. And that's actually, for Rod fans and Elton fans, they know that they're good friends.
Yeah.
They were both in the Long John Baldry band growing up. Not at the same time.
Yeah.
But, so they've been friends from way back. And so it'll be kind of cool to do a show with Kenny for those 2 nights.
And so let me ask you, Margie, when you first started doing this, how long did it take you to, get your act into gear? I mean, did you go take the time to look at Rod Stewart videos, and were you very much into the detail, or did you just kind of go along, improve as you went along?
Of course. Well, this is an evolving process.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm just now, spending more and more time working on my moves. Up until, recently I was working all my time on the voice, and, so I wanted to make sure the voice was as close to, the best I could do, but now I'm spending time on the moves. So, the homework never stops, and I think any of the other, tribute artists that are at the top of their game will say the same. It's just like playing an instrument. You got to play your scales, on a daily basis. You got to go back to the videos. You got to go to the records or the CDs to see if there's anything you missed. Was there an inflection? Was there, or there's a move? Now, the only difference is that I choreograph Rod. I want to channel him, meaning that I want the show from show to show to be completely different. Meaning, would Rod do this move? Yes, he would.
Mm-hmm.
But will he do that move every time when it comes to this part of the song? No, he wouldn't. Or nor will I. So that's kind of how I'm approaching it. I don't want it to be a choreographed show. If you saw me 3 times in a row, you'd say, "Okay, that was great." But you know what? There's something wrong with this. I don't need to see him again.
Yeah.
I want this to be in the moment, live, and change from show to show.
Oh,
that's my approach to what I'm doing.
And that's cool. Now, before each show, I was curious, how long does it take you to get into your Rod mode, if you will? I mean, does it take you long to get in your costume and dressed up? And once you get in costume, do you really kind of get yourself in that mode where you're feeling like, you're not Rod Stewart, but you know what I mean? You're like,
right.
for the next 90 minutes.
No. It doesn't. I mean, for me, it's kind of funny. It's like aren't you afraid singing? Getting on stage and singing to strangers, and I don't care how big the audience is. I don't get stage fright, but I will honestly tell you this: I'm always petrified until I hear that first note come out of my voice. Because if it was my natural voice that I'm singing in, I would be less afraid. But because I'm affecting the Rod voice, I'm having to, get to that voice. I'm always petrified over that first note. What's going to come out, and then once I hear that it's the way it's supposed to be, I'm golden. And when I hear, the women in their 50s or their daughters in their 20s, squeal, that's it for me. I'm off and running. I'm happy, and it goes from there.
Are you kind of, again, I'm kind of amazed at your story in the sense that, like, you're telling me, like a lot of these guys, that are in these tribute bands, you're not really a musician, you have no musical experience, yet you've reached this level, of success doing what you're doing. And I'm kind of a little interested to hear, too, that you don't experience too much stage fright. Do you think that's just because you've reached this level, that there's a certain comfort level, and that you can do this?
I don't know what to attribute that to. I just think that it's
again.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'll say this.
Yeah.
My band is really, really good. Every time, for whatever reason, I might lose a member because they got married and they had a child, and I'm trying to do this or what have you. The next musician I get is so much better. I'm so lucky that the people who decided to play with me are as amazing as they are. So when you have that, you know, you feel protected on stage. You know, you just there's it's not just you on stage; it's your band backing you up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So and I have that.
Yeah.
So you know, and I'll tell you a funny story. This whole thing started when I was putting together the band. Let me back up. When I was doing the solo thing in the beginning, fans would come up to me and say, "Well, hey, you know, do you have a band?" And I'd say no, and they would ask if they could back me up. And I thought they were pulling my leg. I thought they were, mocking me.
Yeah.
Once I told about the third or fourth time, I think it was the third time, that I realized, well, maybe they're serious. Maybe I am good enough to, front a band. And then I decided, well, if I'm going to do that, I don't want to ruin a ready-made band. I want to pick and choose who I work with.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I went out and went to a jazz club, famous jazz club locally called Stagatini's. And I just started there, and luckily there was this guy on stage playing guitar, amazing guitarist. And on his break, I asked him if he'd be interested in playing in a Rod Stewart tribute band.
Uh-huh.
And without hesitation, he put out a cigarette. We were outside. Put out a cigarette and said, "Sure." And that didn't sound right to me because I thought, well, wait, he hasn't vetted me. He hasn't, heard me. I haven't auditioned for him. And I asked him later, meaning weeks later, after we had gone to a couple of practices and we were auditioning not practices, but we were auditioning other musicians.
Yeah.
And I said, "Why did you decide to play with me?" And he said, "It's really simple. You were either delusional, or you could pull it off. I was betting on the fact that you could pull it off. But I would have known within 15 seconds whether you had the chops or not." And that's how the whole thing started, because he was such an amazing guitarist. I was able to attract, great, other musicians, because they would hear him play guitar and they would realize, hey, there's something here. I want to be part of this.
Yeah, and again, RG, no disrespect, because I totally, I'm just totally blown away by your story. Because again, I think that just shows people, even though you may have no musical training, so to speak, that shows the level of your talent, if you will. I mean, you're more of what I call a natural talent. I mean, you could, for example, even though you're maybe, maybe like you're not doing your own original stuff, you could easily write a song and have somebody else sing it, but there's a certain thing, like about writing your own material and performing it. You could perform it much better than somebody else who, didn't write the material. You can sing like more from your heart, if you will. And I think that just goes to show the level of your talent, because obviously if you didn't have a talent, people wouldn't be coming to the shows,
Right. I would think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think so. Yeah. I mean, like I said, their love for Rod will get them to check it out once, but once we get them in, I would say that we pretty much keep them. We see them over and over again. So our crowd, I mean, actually from our very first show, again, we were really lucky. We had good promo in place, and that's what I brought to the table. My business background, and we had like 300 paying customers. I take that back. We had 302 customers, and 2/3 of that were paying customers. A third of it was free tickets. But from that show on, it's been packed rooms everywhere. Whether we're playing a small club of 150 or whether we're playing 1,500, our rooms are always sold out. And again, it's not about me. It's about, starts off with their appreciation and love for Rod. The only frustration I have, honestly, doing this, is that a lot of the venue bookers are mostly men, and they don't get the Rod thing. They think it's for an older
crowd.
Classic. And what they don't realize is that Rod is a lot hipper than they think. First of all, our audience is 70% women.
Wow.
I kid you not. It doesn't matter where we play.
Yeah.
It's 70% women. And matter of fact, case in point, when I was a teenager, when I went to my first Stewart, concert, I'd seen And then a couple years later, I'd seen McCartney and Wings, and it goes on and on. I'd seen Zeppelin. That was the only show I had seen. I had been to maybe 8 or 9 concerts up until that time. And in the Stewart, it was just a few women. And I remembered that. And it's no different today. It's a sea of women, So if these venue owners, or bookers or whatever, realize that, they would realize, it doesn't matter whether they're into rock or not. There's this huge audience of all ages, and they tend to actually be the right demographic at all clubs. One, they spend money, they won't nurse one drink, they'll drink top shelf, they're great tippers,
Yeah.
the staff loves them. It goes on and on. It's just, and there's no testosterone in the room because, again, 70% women. So the smart guys, once they catch on, they actually come to the shows, whether they like Rod or not. But here's the funny part. I keep getting guys coming up to me saying, oh my God, I didn't realize there were all those songs, that I liked. I forgot about this song. I forgot about that song. I forgot about, they start to realize the library of songs they've connected with over the years is so vast. And it's, in a funny way, I'm kind of glad that I'm, reminding him of that. It's just a good feeling all the way around.
I mean that's so true. Like a guy like Rod Stewart. I mean, a lot of people today, they're only aware of like stuff like Forever Young and more ballady type stuff. Where, like you said, back in the day, especially in the '70s, early '80s, I mean, he did everything from like Maggie May, Young Turks, Gasoline Alley, a lot more classic rock feel. So. I think that's a great thing about what you do too. You're reintroducing people to the catalog of music. And let me ask you about those promoters. In your experience, you ever won anybody over? Or is it, they come and check out your show and they see you got a pack house and like, man, we want you to come back to our venue. I mean, have you ever seen that?
Not on a big level yet. But again, I'm not all that. I don't. Again, because I don't have to do this.
Yeah.
I have my own company, a good day job, what have you. I don't chase it that hard. Meaning that what I do is I work the audience. The audience is all that matters. And my attitude, and it's worked for me up until now, is that in the end, the audience will demand, who and what they see at a venue. Meaning that, I'm not going to mention names, but for example, if there's one person who for whatever reason doesn't get it, me trying to sell him isn't going to change his mind.
Yeah.
I'm not going to convince him. What will change it, because that's what I'm supposed to do. That's what everyone will do.
Yeah.
Because that's what they're trying to sell themselves, whether it's a band or whether it's their product. As a salesman. Well, no. What will happen is he or she, in most cases he, will hear countless of times from their regular customers, hey man, that band we saw tonight was great, but you know what? You gotta see Atlantic Crossing, the Rod Stewart tribute. Those guys are amazing. They play Stay With Me, they play, I Know I'm Losing You, they play all the hits, plus they sound great, blah, blah, blah. They keep, once he gets, he hears us 30, 40, 50 times, that's when the attitude will change. And that's my approach, and that's how it's worked for us, because I just don't think it makes sense any other way. Again, it's all about the people. You get the audience, you army of people to, we're the KISS Army, right?
Yeah, that's cool, yeah.
You get the people behind you, and, and everything else falls in place. And that's my approach to it.
So how often do you guys play out? How many shows do you typically do a year?
Well, it's escalating. We are playing now. Case in point, this last week was our first show, first week where we had a show every night. We played Friday at a private party in San Juan Capistrano.
Wow.
I did something with half the band on Saturday night, and then we had a Sunday afternoon show in Newport. So we're playing as often as we'd like.
Yeah.
And I'm controlling how often we get booked, because I don't want to overexpose ourselves in a given area. And that's basically it. We could play more often.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at the big picture. I want us to play often enough for it to make sense, but at the same time, I don't want to overexpose ourselves just because,
Yeah, and it must be great to be in a position where you're not desperate for gigs. You're doing this for the fun of it, not because this is the way you make your living or this is what you have to do. But it must be pretty.
Don't get me wrong. We're squeezing the heck out of the people. I turned down. Again, I can't. I don't want to say anything negative about anybody. But I turned down just recently an appearance at a big venue because we were the support act, and it had nothing to do with ego. It just had to do with we had played there once before for free, and we were promised that we'd come back as headliner, and the deal that was offered to us again was to play for free. And I said, what, we really don't need to do that, and we
that's
don't.
cool.
But it had nothing to do with ego. It had to do with some of my musicians. Actually, that is their day job. They live on the money, and I'm not going to ask them to do something for no money when there's no reason why. So our gigs pay well most of the time because we bring the people.
And so, do you typically
business model that works for us in the club?
Do you typically play the bigger places like House of Blues and that, or does it just kind of depend where you get hired to play?
Again, it depends on what the business deal is. Without going into divulging, too much
detail.
House of Blues secret. This is what I'll tell you. I won't play to where I'm having hot hits. I will take a percentage of the door. I have a problem with that. I'd rather take a percentage of the door than get a guarantee, to be honest with you, because I'm confident about what we bring to the table. But I will not put our band in any exploitive situation unless it makes sense. Meaning that I'll be glad to play for free for a charity.
Yeah.
I'll be glad to play for almost no money in a very small venue because I know that the owner can't afford to pay us what our actual, usual, fee is. But I will not play in a big venue just to have it on our resume if we're bringing, say, $10,000 or $12,000 worth of revenue. People coming, buying drinks, buying food, paying for tickets, and then not getting paid for that, or getting paid. You know what I'm saying? And so it's about, and I understand that will not work for most other bands, but I don't care. I know what fair is, and and when it comes to the exploitation, the business, I'm very adamant about that. I'm easy to get along with, but it has to be fair.
I mean, I think that's another reason that you've reached the level, or plateau that you have, because again, it's not all about just getting as many gigs, like you said. It's about getting the right gigs and making sure that your guys in the band get what's owed to them. So I think it's great that you got that business savvy and that you're able to look out for yourself and the band.
Yes, I do. And I'll tell you, and I'm not patting myself on the shoulder on this, but I want you to know this. That I not take an extra cut as the so-called star. If we get 2,500, it gets split up evenly. If it's 1,500, it gets split up evenly. If it, whatever the number is, it's an equal share. I'm no better than again, I'm honored. I'm indebted that my guitarist, my keyboardist, my bass player, it doesn't matter who it is, from what I remember, they're all willing to put in what it takes to make this work, and they all have an equal share in the success of it. Just, the front man. I'm doing the same, my job is no more important than anybody else's. I'm getting the credit. That's the only thing I can't, do anything about. But as far as the money, I can do something about that.
I mean, you're a smart enough guy to realize that you're playing the part of Rod Stewart, so to speak, and you're the star. But people will not be coming to a show just to see you jumping up on stage and just playing a solo acoustic show. You really need a talented backing band to do what you do, and at least you're smart enough to realize that.
Right. Well,
And the last thing I guess I want to ask you a little bit about is, you know, you've been doing this for a while. I guess you said about 5 years or so now. But you're well. 3 years. Okay, but
technically two.
Two.
Because the first year was spent the first year was spent
honing your craft, so to speak, learning everything.
I think we did 3 shows the very first year. And I spaced them because I wanted to make sure that they were successful. 300 plus paid customers, and I wanted to get it down, and the personnel hadn't settled in place yet. So technically only 2 years.
Okay, and I guess the last question I had was, so do you and the band have to rehearse much these days, or do you pretty much know all the tracks, or do you still find that you have to rehearse pretty regularly to keep your chops up?
Well, I believe the band all rehearses on their own.
Okay.
We rehearse anytime, we're introducing a new song, and anytime we haven't played for more than 4 weeks or 4 weeks. But other than that, no, we don't rehearse other than that, because these guys are all pros, they know what they're doing, and so they just, we show up and we do it. And if there's a problem, we have it worked out, next time. But we only rehearse with, when there's new songs. We have about, I would say about a little over 70 songs, repertoire.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
And we rotate the songs out. Some of our shows are 3-hour shows.
Wow.
We get a chance to do close to 30 songs, but for the most part, it hasn't been, a problem. Although, to be honest with you, I want to, I'm just between you, me, and whoever else is listening, I want to sneak into the band another, I don't know, dozen or so songs. That's like what I want to do upcoming is I want to do album by album. So I want to have a show that is, our name's called Atlantic Crossing. I want to have an Atlantic Crossing show. That album in order, both sides, and then have another show. If it's Foolish Behavior, that'll bring out the hardcore fans who will, get a kick out of it. It's a novelty gimmick, but it'll work. It'll.
I mean, even Cheap Trick has done shows like that. Doing certain albums like in their entirety. So that's becoming a new thing. So I think people definitely dig that. Once again, RJ, it's been great talking to you. I want to thank you for taking time to speak with me. I really enjoyed talking to you, and maybe we can do it again down the line. But like I told you.